these strategies in your enablers or inhibitors, right? So if you believe that video, placed in the right place,
Video blogging.
okay, video blogging, and then measuring the outcome of that, right? How are you measuring the outcome of that? So if someone comes and wants to buy your book, do you give them an opportunity to buy the book, you know, buried right there on your blog? You got to.
The answer is the blog takes them to a sales page.
Okay, good.
And the other part of it is driving it. That's what I'm trying to decide is what's the word. Is like Facebook things KC does can help get your videos out there also.
Sure, sure. But the driver is what you're doing. The KPI needs to be wrapped around the driver so it tells you how effective you're doing it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Right? And so for years it's really the click-through output. If someone is appealed? If your video is appealing to someone and it tells them enough about what's in your book, they click through to the buy page and you have a transaction. And you've isolated enough around the video blog that you can pretty much make a strong correlation that it's the video blog that drove them to the buy page.
I'm going to address that more specifically in the online, but yeah, you're exactly right. I mean, I think that clears it up a lot, the driver and the KPI. The driver is, all right, what's my objective? And the KPI is how well am I doing? So it's just like a car, like you're driving, you floor it. It's like, wow, it seems like I'm going pretty fast. And you look at the speedometer, and yeah, it's telling you that you're going pretty fast.
So align with strategy, number one. Step number two, audit the existing measures. You're measuring some things in your business today, right? They may not still be appropriate for you to measure, right? So assess the strategic fit to measure it. Identify what data is available, particularly around as you're thinking about new measurements. Geez, do I actually have the data available to measure that? Review the measurement process. Is it accurate, timely, and then identify gaps between your existing measures and where you want to go. It's a bit of a roadmap for you as you think through this. So now we're into developing the new measurements. Right? You want to bridge those gaps that you've identified on the prior page. Examples of strategic data often missing: employee satisfaction, customer satisfaction surveys, rework percent. That's a huge one that's not often evaluated. On-time delivery, maybe in your businesses. But these are a few that are often missing. I mean, both of these will give you insight as to your internal processes for satisfying your delivery, your promise to the marketplace.
I've seen on-time delivery used like in restaurant and in like health and fitness. They call it service level, so it's really just how well you're servicing.
Well, does Domino's still promise delivery in 30 minutes?
I don't think so because they have a lot of accidents.
See,
okay, so
It's like
that's a great example.
Yeah.
That's a great example.
They did have accidents related to the driver was lawsuits stopping them from doing that. They actually did.
Yep, so now they're working on their recipe, actually. If you've seen the latest Domino commercials, right? They're working on taste.
Yeah, the sauce, the chicken.
Yeah, right.
And they show the chef all stressed out because he's got to get it all.
That is funny.
Oftentimes, businesses aren't measuring the 5 ways either. I would say that almost every business that I'm working with right now, in the beginning when we started, they weren't measuring leads. They weren't calculating conversion, right? They weren't looking at the average number of transactions per client or the average dollar sale, et cetera, right? Critical. Lead generation, is that a driver?
Yeah.
For revenue growth? Yeah. Is conversion rate really important?
Yeah.
It needs to be in your business to measure conversion rate, right? Because if you've got a 20% conversion rate, take a time out, quit spending on lead generation. Because you're only getting, right, 2 out of 10. So get some help on improving the sales process so you're converting more. Once you get it up to about 40, maybe 50%, then we can really turn on the lead generation engine. But not before that.
It'd be interesting to see the difference in those numbers between the owner's time in the retail shop and then their employees when the owner's not there. A dramatic difference, I would suspect.
Yeah, and to measure the average dollar sale when the owner isn't there, and because the owner we know is generally really pretty good at upselling, because they're thinking about it all the time, right? But the individual employee may not. The individual employee just wants to get through the transaction, right? Not always the case, but this can be measured on an individual salesperson basis, down to the revenue line, not past that really.
Well, they did it at Caribou. I mean, the shift supervisors would be responsible for those kind of revenues. So exactly your point, and there would be competitions during shifts. Like who upsells more? You know, like what you were saying, Dave. Or who just goes through, okay, I want to pour the coffee and get them out of here because I want to go back and Twitter or get on the computer. But you know, the owner's not thinking that way.
Working with a sign manufacturing company that is actually using the 5-ways chart of revenue and above to set budgets and expectations for every one of his salespeople. Because we've done his break even and we know where he needs to be to start making money by salesperson. So you can drive it, you can take it to that point too. The big thing that I want to highlight here, and it's going to start to manifest in the next slide, is whatever you're measuring, make it such that you can compare it to some prior period. Because if you're improving, you're making progress. Right? Now, if it's a new measurement, it's going to take you time to build up data. I get that. But that's no excuse, although I've heard it, that's no excuse to not measure. Right? It's not an effective thermometer right away. I get that. I get that. But someday in the very near future, it will be. And frankly, conversion rate is important right from the get-go, because if it turns out that you thought it was 70% and it's actually 30%, I look at that and I go, well, that's good news. Because if we take 30 to 60, what have we just done to your business? We've doubled your business, right? In some cases, at pretty much low to no cost. Okay. And certainly we want the measurement to be something that you can act on. Okay, analyze and report. I've said it already. We want it to be really easy to read. And that's why we like pictures, right? We like pictures. You can see on this thing where it's going. We do a visit trend report for a physical therapy company, right? And that's one of their drivers, visits. Now we also do lead generation, but visits. And the actual number of visits per case, because we'd like that number to be appropriate, but not one and done. So, and we chart that. And you can just see it month to month. You don't even have to look at the number, right? And then one line on that chart is what's the goal for the year. Right? Yeah. Another line on the chart is if we get to here, we get to have a big bonus. So that's on there too. Continuous improvement. Set priorities based on your strategy. SMART goals. Who's familiar with SMART goals? Yeah. A SMART goal is a goal that if you articulate it across this acronym, it's going to be extremely clear. It's going to be very clear. So a SMART goal is, number one, written to be specific. That's the S. A SMART goal is written such that you can measure it. You're going to be able to determine the impact when it is accomplished. A SMART goal is A, it's achievable. A SMART goal is R, right? It's relevant. And T, that it is time-bound. That's really critical. We will do this, we will have accomplished this by time certain. Right? So, write your priorities in SMART goals, assign accountability. Get through this. And then track. And then set new goals. It's all about continuous improvement. Your KPIs will tell you when you're there. So here are some examples. A sample KPI measurement for marketing and sales. I'll get this all up here so that take the mystery away. So if you can, depending on the composition, the geography of your market, if you can measure market share, that's fine. That's great. More internal and sensitive to the business, though, as we're back to the 5 ways, is lead by source. You'd like to measure the leads and what strategies are driving those leads. In other words, networking, video blog, direct mail, website, speaking engagements, seminars.
Events and promotions.
What's that?
Events and promotions.
Events and promotions. And always have 5 to 7, 10 is a little bit too much. Lead generating strategies working simultaneously. And you want to measure your leads as they come in by source or by strategy so you know which one's working the best for you.